Hi everybody, welcome to my backyard garden, and it is a slightly cold or getting ready to be cold day in February. I live in Northern California, Zone 9B, and we are actually getting ready for a pretty blustery storm that's about to come through. It's supposed to be one of the bigger ones that we've had during this time period, but I am in the middle of unboxing some of the new Aeoniums that I received, and I thought it'd be kind of cool if I talked through what this looks like when you get Aeoniums, when you unbox them for the first time, because this is going to be one of the things that, at least for me, when I first got my first shipment of plants, I was looking at them, as you can see. Yeah, super like not happy campers right now. And this freaked me out. I just thought, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? These plants are just, not great, and I spent all this money to get these plants, and now they look awful. But this is actually pretty normal for succulents that go through the mail. This particular shipper, because I do import especially Aeoniums, I import a lot of Aeoniums, and I get them from all over the world, but this particular shipper I like because they actually, even though they ship from China, what they do is they have them stop in various different zones, and then they make sure that the plants are actually not going to die before they ship them out again. So they kind of give them a rest from the shipping. Versus if you got them directly from China, for example, or directly from Europe, sometimes you can end up with plants that are truly dead. But I'll talk to you about some of the things that I look for as I'm unboxing plants, and then things that don't necessarily worry me. So let's just take as example of this first one. So I would definitely take this sticker off as fast as possible, just because it's covering the stem, and I'd be worried about any moisture that was caught within that area. So that's definitely something you want to do. You just don't want rot to potentially set in, and so you want to increase the airflow as fast as possible. I actually have little labels that I use for these plants in particular, and you can see that they have actually put the name on there for me. So I would actually just pull this off, create the label for it immediately, and then I would let it sit, let it rest. What I typically do, you can see some of these leaves here are starting to die. I will actually just pull those off, and the reason why, and here's a great example, you can see this looks a little icky, a little moldy to me, a little too much moisture that's sitting there, and so I would want that off of this plant as fast as possible. And all I would do is I'm just gonna pull it off. That's it. It's not any more complicated than that. You're just literally gonna yank on it until you see the stem that comes out, or see the part that's attached to the stem. That's going to actually come out for you, and that's what I'm going to do to that plant to make sure that I don't have any problems. So similar with this one, don't be worried if they arrive and they look like this. They're flat like this. As we all know, Aeoniums, they actually open up, and so this looks pretty funny. No, this is not what the plant will look like eventually. Once you open it up and expose it to air and to sunlight, it's actually going to open up for you, and you're going to want to do that and leave it there for a couple of days at least. Just let it dry off. You want to get as much moisture away from this plant as possible. It's been sitting in a box, and while this particular shipper does a great job because they put a desiccant packet in there with it, which not all shippers will do, but this particular one does, which is great because it absorbs the moisture. But I'm still going to do that just to prevent rot, just to prevent that, this actual cutting is going to die on me. So this one's a little different because it actually has, as you can see on the bottom, roots that have begun to form. So all they've done is they've just clipped off a portion of the roots, but they've left some. It means it's a healthy plant. Again, I like this a little better because the sticker's up on the stem, so I'm a little less worried about any type of moisture, but I would also pull that off. You're going to see the same type of condition, right, with some of those various different leaves that need to be pulled off, and you're literally just going to take them and you're just going to pop them off like that. They come off really, really easy. It's no big deal that this is happening. Sometimes this freaks people out because they think, oh no, this plant is dying. Why did they send me a plant that's dying? It's okay. This is just normal. It just means that what the plant was doing is, while it was sitting in the box, while it was drying, it was using the moisture from these leaves in order to stay alive. It'll put them right back. It's no big deal. Once you get it into the soil, once it establishes roots, you're just going to you'll be able to pop this back in, and it's no big deal. Again, same thing, right? You can see it's been sitting inside of a box and it's been sitting flat. It's super not happy about that. So it's kind of folded in on itself. Once it's been exposed to air and to light, it's going to start opening back up again, and so you're not going to see that problem. It's just going to actually, fold out into this really big flower. Same thing here. I don't see anything that's alarming. Things I'm looking for, if leaves fall off, no big deal. Again, that's just the plant trying to survive as it was sitting inside of a box, so no big deal. It's that flat surface again. I'm not worried about that either. As soon as the light and the air hit it, it's going to start opening up. I don't see any signs of mold, but again, I'm going to take that sticker off of the end of this just because I don't want any moisture that's trapped behind that sticker to get on that stem. And then I'm just going to let this sit out for a couple of days so that the Aeonium gets drier and I don't have to worry once I go to plant it. Most of the time, it's okay. Most of the time, by the time you put it into the soil, and again, your soil is going to be pretty dry, right? If you watched my video that talked about soil composition, you can see that water tends to, if you get the soil composition correct, water's going to go through very quickly in your pot, and so it's really not going to trap a lot of mold. But it can, every once in a while, you're going to get one of these Aeoniums that's going to have a problem. Don't be worried about that. That's just something that happens. This is why gardeners stay humble, right? Is because we aren't always perfect and we can't always get it exactly right every single time, and we're just in learning mode. So don't be afraid. You may lose one or two. It doesn't mean you're horrible at this hobby. It just means that that particular plant for some reason was not healthy. And it just wasn't going to make it. Most of the time, what I do recommend is that you take a video or you take pictures right when you're unboxing your plants, because if there is something wrong, if the plant dies within a week or two, which means that they had something systemic going on, right? Some type of rot was in the stem or something that you couldn't see. You're gonna wanna send that back to the seller and ask for either a refund or for a replacement plant. But it's harder to do that if you don't take pictures right when you get them. So just make sure that you do something like the little video that I'm doing right now that shows the condition of the plants when you receive them. Okay, so again, I'm just looking for any signs of rot, any signs of pests, anything like that. I don't see anything. If it was mealybug, it'd be these little white things, little white cottony looking spots. If it was aphids, I would be seeing black spots, but there's nothing in here, so they've done a great job with this. So here you can see same type of thing, right? You've got the same type of condition. This one's super mad that it was squished in a box. Don't worry about it. It will open up, right? And you can see it's really loving life and it's losing its little leaves as I'm talking. That's okay. It's going to replace all of those things. Again, the plant is actually healthy. You can see there's no pests on it. It's in good condition. There's no rot that's showing up on the stem anywhere. Again, I'm going to remove that sticker. I don't want to have any moisture that's trapped, and I'm going to let this sit for a little bit just so that it can dry off a little bit more before I stick it in the soil, and then it can start forming roots. Once I do put it into soil, I'm going to let it sit for about 2 weeks in the soil without water, because again, if your plant does not have roots, does not have little roots, and I don't mean roots like this. These are dried roots, right? What you want to see is you want to pull on the plant a little bit inside of the pot. And if it's difficult to pull it out, that means it started forming new roots. So even if it has them like this, that's not enough. The plant can't actually absorb water or any nutrients from the soil. If you put water on it, you're basically wasting the water, one. The second thing is that it's not actually going to help the plant. The plant can't do anything with it. In fact, it's just going to make it harder for the plant because the plant's now going to have to fight off that rot. And the potential for rot. So you just want to be really, really careful. The first 2 to 3 weeks, just don't put any water. It's really hard. You think, new plant, oh, and it's not happy. I should put water on it. Don't put water on it. Really, really bad idea. Okay, this one. Not a happy camper. This is called a cluster because it has multiple heads. So these other ones you were seeing, they're individual heads. This one's a cluster head because it has multiple. And again, it's in healthy condition. This one's going to expand. It'll be beautiful. Within a, couple of days, it will start to open up. You can see some of the babies are a little bit happier, so they're not as upset. You can see this one also had some roots, but again, I'm not going to put water on this because these are not real roots. These are dried roots, right? The type of roots I want are those soft white ones that come out when the plant is actually exposed to soil. It's going to take it a while for the plant to get out of the shock mode of having been inside of a box where it was dark and potentially moist, and then be out where it's getting sun so that it can actually start doing what it needs to do, which is forming some of those roots. And then this particular shipper often will just stick little surprise ones in here. These actually kind of drive me crazy, I'm going to be honest, because then I'm always wondering, what is the name of this? And especially when it's aeoniums, like I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I'm not a collector, so I don't pay a lot of attention to the names of the plants and things like that. And, if I'm pushed, yeah, I can come up with the names and I can tell you. But with aeoniums, I actually am a collector. And so getting a surprise like this, I'm like, ooh, cool, awesome. That's really great. Okay, except what's your name? It's going to drive me nuts. So the other problem you have is when it's sitting inside of a box, I cannot tell you right now looking at this. I mean, I could take a couple of guesses, but who knows if I'll even be close to right. So I'll have to wait. It'll need to form roots. It'll need to be exposed to sun. It'll need a little bit of time to grow. It'll probably change colors depending on the time of year. So right now, again, we're in the beginning of February in Northern California. So this is basically still our winter period because we can still have frost during this time, but it is starting to get a little bit warmer. It's just tends to be the rainy season. It could change colors on me too. So really, really hard. And again, this just kind of drives me nuts because I don't know what the name of it is. But again, it's healthy. It's super healthy. You can see there's those little packing beads in there, which I hate. But, at the same time, they're effective for bringing the plants to you with the most leaves on them. And it is healthy, no pests. It's in good condition. It actually looks a little happier than the other one. So who knows? So we'll see what our mystery is. I'll do an update later, probably in another week or two, just so that you can see, as I'm actually planting these, you can see, okay, how I do it, because I collect them, I want them in specific pots so that I can actually put the names on them. I don't do that with most of my other plants because, again, I just put them in the ground most of the time, or I'm just tossing them in pots and I'm less concerned about it. But with the aeoniums, yeah, I want to know the names. So I will put them in specific pots. I'll do a video about that. And then I will also do a follow-up video that just shows what do these plants look like, because they look pretty rough right now. What do they look like, in another 2 to 3 weeks after they've sat for a little bit? What am I looking for, at that time period? But this was my new order. Super excited about it. And that's it from a almost rainy Northern California garden. Hope you're having a great weekend. Hope it's sunnier conditions wherever you are. And thanks for joining me. As always, if you found this content helpful, like and subscribe. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.